Jesse Itzler, thank you so much for taking the time to sit with us.
My pleasure.
For those of you that don't know Jesse, so many amazing things that you've been able to do in your life, whether that be the astounding rap career, Zico coconut water, Marquis Jets, part owner of the Hawks. It's amazing what you've been able to do. Could you give us just a little bit of an overview of kind of your journey, what got you to where you are today?
Absolutely. I had a very unconventional journey. I started out in the music business. I was signed as a rapper, believe it or not. I know that sounds crazy, but I was in the 90s. And then I had a private jet company called Marquis Jet, which we sold to Warren Buffett's NetJets, Berkshire Hathaway's NetJets.
Two people have probably heard of him.
Yeah. And then I had a coconut water company, so serial entrepreneur called Zico. We sold it to Coca-Cola. Had a lot of failures too. I don't know how much time you have for those, Danny. I'm a dad, 4 kids. I'm an ultra, and like to run ultra marathons. And I live in Atlanta.
Yeah. So what kept you going? Because I can imagine scenarios like that. You've had such big successes. After Marquis Jet, you could have said, all right, I'm going to travel the world and just take my time and do anything I want. But then you went on to the next thing, and then you went on to the next thing. How do you kind of motivate yourself and continue to grow to that next big thing?
I'm just a big believer in building your life resume more than your traditional resume. So when I get something done, I might celebrate it for a day, but it's really check the box and look for the next thing. I don't like to live in the past. And so I really look through the front windshield, and that's what drives me. I mean, I think when I'm older, I don't want to look back and be like I was the 80% version of myself. I want to be like I've milked every nook and cranny out of my existence. So that's how I live. And I don't really, I don't dilly-dally. I don't waste time. And, I try to be super efficient with my time, and I have a lot of respect for time and balanced. I have 4 buckets in my life. I have my family, my wellness, my business, and then things that are important to me like charity and my friends. But if something doesn't fit into one of those 4 buckets, I really don't do it anymore. Like in my 20s, I would waste a lot of time chasing. I have that's what's important to me. So at this stage, it's about putting as much of what I love to do on my plate with the people I love to do them with.
And that's hard because I feel like today there's so many more things that compete for our time, whether that be the Netflix, the Disney Plus, the HBO. There's so much more access that we have, things that compete for our time and our energy and our attention. But what are the things that are kind of the most important? And for you, that's the 4 buckets. And I think that's a great way to think about it. For the listeners, someone that say they run a dealership, they own a dealership, or they're aspiring to kind of grow their career, how do you think about, how did you get to that 4 bucket process where you had, this is all my list of all the things that are my priorities. How do you kind of hone in on and understand the things that are important to you?
I think you have to be in tune with your gut. And I think that the only way to really be in tune with your gut is to spend time alone. So for me, I'm a runner. I've been running, let's just say, an hour a day for, I don't even know how many years, 30 years or something, 40 years, I don't even know.
It's a commitment right there.
It's a commitment. It's part of my lifestyle. It's not even a commitment. It's automatic. And that's my alone time. And without that, it's easy to listen to people's opinion and TV and get influenced, but I'm really trying to be in tune with my gut. So that took me to what do I like to do? What humans are very simple. We all want one thing. We want to feel good. And those buckets make me feel good. And, wasting time or doing, stuff that isn't fulfilling for me. And again, I'm 51, so it's a little bit different for me than maybe when I was in my 20s, it was different. But at this stage, that's what's important. As you evolve and as you grow, your life system has to change and evolve and grow. So when I was 20, how old are you, Danny?
I'm 26.
All right. When I was 26, I was having dinner at 11 o'clock at night, and now I have dinner at 5:30. My life is different. So you evolve. And if you don't evolve, you're just not growing. And, who wants that?
Right. How do you take that first step? Say for someone that's inspired or motivated, they read one of your books, or they watch a video of you or podcast of you, and they're inspired to all right, I'm going to wrap my arms around this and really commit to something and change my mindset. What does step 1 look like?
I think for people that are stuck or feel overwhelmed, it's small wins, just creating small wins because it creates momentum. For people that aren't stuck, I think, for me, one of the things that I did that's been amazing, it's been an amazing gift. And everyone, when I tell them I do this, they say, oh, you must have a team of nannies, or I can't, but I don't. I've been doing it since I'm 21. I've always taken a couple of hours a day for me. And it's made me a better employee, partner, because if I can do the things that I want to do and check that box, then I'm not going to have any resentment towards my wife or whatever, anybody. And it allows me to be really present because I'm not rushing to do a run. I've already done that. Mm-hmm. So now I can talk to you, Danny, as long as you want to talk.
Right.
So I try to do things, put myself first, an hour or two a day.
Yeah.
And I think, if that means getting up, if you get up an hour earlier for the next 30 years, let's say, so from now until your mid 50s, you'll add 10,000 hours of time that you wouldn't have had. You can get a lot done in 10,000 hours. Mm. If you take 3 hours a day, like I've been doing since I'm 21 till you're 71, you get 55,000 Yes, 55,000 hours.
Right.
That's 6 years of, if I'm doing my math wrong, you let me know, but I'm pretty sure it's 55,000 hours. 55,000 hours roughly, which is like 6.5 years, not even factoring in sleep, of bonus time. Mm. So for me, having done that, and I do it, I feel like I'm 210 years old. Like I've done so much, not because I'm good at it, just because I've been able to carve out that time because it's important to me. So I've had literally, I'll have like 7 bonus years of time. If you factor in sleep, like 10 bonus years. Mm-hmm. So that's, I feel like I'm 250 years old in experiences.
Right. I had the chance to listen to you last year talk that you did, and you talked about just building good habits. And something for me that I got out of that was I just started reading more. And so I've become kind of a little bit of a bookworm. And last year I read 45 books. And this year I'm trying to up that game. And one of the books that I read was a book called Atomic Habits by a guy named James Clear. And he talked about how you make habits attractive so that you want to put your tennis shoes on in the morning and do that 10-mile run or whatever that is. How do you approach kind of building healthy habits and little things that get you, point A is this, point B is this. It might be 10 little things that get you there versus that kind of big mountain that you have to climb.
So I operate by trial and error. I see what works for me and I stick with what works and I throw out what doesn't. I think Gandhi said it best when he said, live like you're going to die tomorrow, learn like you're going to live forever. Mm. So I like learning. I like new things. I like trying new habits. And once I get something that works, I stick with it. And when I don't, I throw it out. So for me, what does that look like? I'll give you a really important one in my life. When I was younger than you, when I was 21, I started only eating fruit until 12 noon. And I've done it unwaveringly for the last 30 years. And it started with a 10-day test to see how I would feel because I read it in a book. Mm-hmm. And I stuck with it. If it didn't work, I would have. So that I don't believe what I read. I believe what I try and
yeah,
works.
Sure. There's for us in kind of our industry and our sector in automotive, everything is kind of evolving and expanding so quickly. We look at the Amazons of the world, the Netflix of the world, and people, when it comes to buying a car, they can, everything that's in their life right now is one click. Okay, it's on my doorstep in a few hours or in a couple days. When we look at buying a car, it's such a process and such a stressor. And it's one of the biggest things that people buy in their life.
Right.
I think there's a stat out there that people only buy 5 cars on average. People buy 5 or 6 cars in their whole life. So now you've got 5 or 6 touch points that for a dealer listening, that you have the opportunity to make a relationship with someone. And you talk a lot about that, about how you really aim to elevate the relationship that you have with the people that choose to do business with you. Would you be able to kind of double click on that a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, it's authentic to me. I love people. Yeah. It's important. I've made an effort to stay in touch with customers, not because there's a new car on the market or because a new style came in, because that feels like, hey, he's calling me to do it. It's just part of my routine. I actually carve out, I write, 25 letters a month. I'm texting people. I'm constantly, that's my network. and I invest a lot to stay current with them.
Right.
Because then you have permission to reach out at any time. So that's really important to me. And I built my whole career around that, getting people to root for me. It's really important.
And you've done a lot. And so it shows that there's what a value in making connections like that. It's so much deeper than just kind of that sign on the dotted line on day one of a relationship.
Yeah. And if you can find that one person that can give you 4 or 5 referrals and you can grow your business. I mean, everybody knows this, but there's an art to that. And I think it's important to play the position that you play. Like, not everyone can play shortstop. So if you're quirky, be quirky. If you're, a single mom, be a single mom. And I just think that's a really important thing. And I think, I don't know what it's like with the dealers, but I'm sure there's a playbook that we follow and there's some success. But at the same time, there's value in ripping up the playbook and being like, if they didn't tell me how to do this, how would I do it? And how would I go about, keeping my customers or asking for referrals?
Right.
And very often that's where innovation comes from.
So let's take a step back. So for you, you've kind of you innovated really with the Marquis Jet. That was a new thing. And so the audience of people that were looking for a service like that, they said, yes, we're down for that. And it showed with the success that you had. And then with Zico and all of the other things and this kind of engaging community that you've built with the Build Your Life resume, how do you approach a process like that? Like, I'm sure you didn't go to school for Zico coconut water building of a company or building a jet company. How do you approach a new challenge where you're in a new place, processes, things might be different. You have to learn new things. What's kind of your approach?
First of all, I think everybody is an idea away from $1 million idea. And everyone might even have $1 million idea. It's just, do they act on it? I go in and out of this process, but I just make myself really aware. Like, it might sound a little hokey, but I ask for the order, man. I'm looking for something, and I'll say it out loud. Yeah. So I'm all in on looking for a new idea. The creative process is funny, because it's not like you're wired for creativity. At least I'm not creativity all the time. But when I'm in a zone, I'll stay in the zone. If I'm in a sales zone, I won't leave the office. Like, if I'm hot, for whatever reason I'm hot, the same clothes are coming on, same pitches coming on. And when I'm cold, I got to shake it up. So when I get in the zone, I try to really maximize it.
Right. And what about, so say you're cold, you're out of the zone. How do you kind of pick yourself up?
Small wins. Yeah. Small wins. Positive self-talk, letting myself know, like, once you go down, you talk yourself out of it, you go down the spiral, it's hard to get out of this when you're spiraling. So I really try to stop myself from ever spiraling. I think about all the good things that I have, all the opportunity that I have. I just try to keep it super positive. And of course I have thoughts like, I'm not good enough or whatever, but I really don't give them power. I don't empower them by talking on those thoughts. Right,
for sure. So we talked a little bit about kind of some of the successes you have, and I'm sure along the way, like now it's kind of that boilerplate. Started Marquis Jet, sold to Warren Buffett. What were some of the challenges, maybe, and that's an example, or any of the other successes that you had, an example of a time where there was a roadblock or there was a speed bump on the way or something that just kind of stopped you in your tracks and you had to learn through and have endurance in the process?
I mean, it's happened to me almost every step of the way. I think 2 things. The first I want to say is, like, if you have a crisis that really stops you, crisis management 101 is get in front of it right away. So that's really important. I don't look at the big picture usually. I think my brain works in 2 ways. The first is, I'm like, again, I talked about this today, but like, be where your feet are. If someone would have said to me when I started Marquis Jet, you have to get FAA approval, Department of Transportation approval, then you have to raise money, build a sales team, find customers, I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
I was a kiddie pool attendant 3 years ago. What are you talking about? But all of a sudden you find a lawyer that can navigate the FAA. And then you're like, whoa, I chopped that tree down. What's next? Okay, DOT, let's go get Department of Transportation approval. And so you just kind of chip away and you can't, but if I would have looked at it in total, I would have freaked out. So that's kind of step 1. And step 2 is I always go to the end of the movie. So like I said, in the speech today, like I used to walk in when I was sleeping on my friends' couches, just starting out my business journey. When I would come into the office, I would be like, I'm a millionaire. They just haven't paid me yet. So I've always gone to like what I want and kind of worked backwards from there. That want, that goal, that movie in my head, it's unwavering. You know, like the plot and script change all the time and how you get there, and these obstacles happen all the time. But I don't deviate from, we're going to start this jet company. You know, like the FAA approval, look at that.
Right.
Department, we've got to find someone that can get us approval.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I'm a little bit ready, fire, aim.
Right. You see what your point B is and you say, I know that that's where I'm going to go.
Yes.
I'm unwavering from that. And some of the details that are in between, we're going to figure it out.
Yeah. And then like, you know, how do you get there super fast? What's the fastest way to get there?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always looking for speed.
Yeah. In your current, with the Build Your Life resume.
Except when I'm running.
Except for running, right. Which you've ran 100 miles how many times?
Twice.
So, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot that we could talk about that all day about what went into that. But with Build Your Life resume and everything that you kind of got going on with that, what are some of just kind of the cool stories that you've seen, but maybe some successes or how you've instilled kind of this lifestyle and this mindset into people? Any cool stories about what that's looked like?
Hundreds, honestly, hundreds. And that's why I'm doing it. You know, I had this coaching program, and if I wasn't getting results and getting emails and letters and DMs from people all the time, I have 4 kids, I wouldn't do it. I'm literally doing it for the energy I get from that. And look, I'm 51. I've had a lot of life experiences. I have more yet to come. But the more you experience, the more you have to offer. And I feel all of these different things, from running to bootstrapping businesses, to raising money, to sales, to failure, to being a dad, to watching my parents get older. They give you experiences, and I feel like I have a lot to offer from that. And shame on me if I don't, what am I going to do with it?
Right.
So creating a program where, you know, I can say, hey, this is how we built Marquis Jet. These are the steps that we did. This is how I parent. This is what I eat. I'm not saying you have to do it, but this is what has worked well for me.
Right.
So that's the benefit of it.
Yeah. It's kind of just a playbook that you've kind of experienced by nature of just doing it.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, and I say this, I don't mean this at all like in any kind of arrogant way or whatever, but I feel really good about, you know, where I'm at. Like my dad owned the plumbing supply house when I was growing up. My mom was a teacher, then raised 4 kids. And I look where I am now from where I was, you know, or even where my dad was one generation ago. And, you know, I'm really proud of what I've been able to do. And even the failures, I'm proud of trying.
Right.
And
that's hard because you could see the vision, you know, point B is that's that. But then when that speed bump hits, it can feel like everything just crashed down on top of you. And having the perseverance and the commitment to.
But you have to know going in that the passion has to be around the journey and not the widget. Because like, I mean, I like Marquis Jet. Marquis Jet was, I mean, I loved it. But the passion was around being an entrepreneur. Well, it happened to be we were selling time on private jets, but I loved coming into work. I loved selling. I loved the parties that we threw and you know, the customer retention stuff that we did. I met my wife that way. But it would have been the same passion if I was selling lollipops. I really mean that. I like challenges. I'm a newness junkie. I wouldn't say I'm an adrenaline junkie, but I'm a newness junkie. And I love challenges. I like failing. I like winning. I like the process of going through it.
Right.
So, and look, in today's world, you can put out a coaching course or podcast and broadcast it, and people can get this amazing information. Like when I was growing up, I had to be in the car and listen to like an 8-track, you know, like in the deck to like listen to, and there weren't really any motivational tapes. There are a few, but, or inspiration or business. And now, you know, podcasts like yourself, Danny, where you can share, you know, and give all those in your industry insight, not just about specifically related to cars, but also just little, you know, if you got to be good with yourself, and you can share that just through a microphone.
Right. I think that's such a great mindset for all of us, things to think about every morning. If the listeners want to keep up with you and kind of watch your next crazy adventure, where can they find you?
I'm just at Jesse Itzler on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. So I'm at my name.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, man.
Jesse.
Appreciate
Really
it. Yeah, it was no problem, Danny.
Awesome.
Great.